the title here is, well, it's making a minimalist of a maximalist. The thing is, first you need to kind of define what you're talking about. And a minimalist is usually someone who needs or uses or has the least of whatever he needs to survive, he or she. And it kind of brings to me your mind to mind a story of a traveler who only carried a bowl, and that bowl was so that he could scoop up water and drink it or eat out of it. And he had that bowl until he saw another man scooping the water up with his hands and drinking out of his hands. And he gave the bowl away. He didn't feel he needed it. Now, I personally met a lady. I don't know if she would have called herself a minimalist, but she was a client I was to see. And I went into her house, observing the environment, not really snooping, but she had her closet door open, and there were exactly 5 dresses hanging there, 2 pair of shoes, 1 purse, a winter hat, a summer hat, a winter coat, a summer coat. And that was it. There was nothing to adorn the walls. There was nothing anywhere other than the barest minimum of furniture that she needed to sit on. And so I don't know what exactly I thought of that, because in my family we always had lots and lots and lots of clothes. There was always, my mother could sew so she could make her own clothes, and she could buy used material or a large dress and convert it, adapt it to whatever she wanted. And she would take us, she and my aunt, would take us to every thrift store, Goodwill, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, rummage sale, secondhand shop, flea market, yard sale, council shop, reseller store, outlet, Father Dempsey's, used goods stores. I and a friend, we dressed good. We really did. We had probably more expensive clothes on than the average person who had a living father. Our father had passed. But we would spend days going out and around buying used clothing, and then my mother and my aunt would have flea markets. And that supplemented our income. So the other part of it was, so we were, I guess you'd consider maximalists, because we had everything to match everything. We knew how to match things, how to find them. We even knew of a secondhand shoe store in somebody's basement. So we did fairly well for people who didn't have much. So I think that would be what you would call a maximalist, someone who has everything, and 2 or 3 of everything, just in case something else went out. So there might be 3 irons there, and 3 of the same crock pots, just stuff, you know. And I have to say I didn't call us hoarders, because everything was meticulously placed. So we knew where to go to get that second pot, that 3rd iron, or the other coffee maker. And we would actually sell some of that stuff and have a little bit of an income. So when I got old enough, graduated, and had a job, I promised myself when I got my home, there was not going to be anything used in my home. Well, we got our home, and naturally the first one, you know, we did buy used stuff, but when I got the one that I felt was permanent, that was my philosophy. There was not going to be anything used in my home. And so, and then it was going to be quality. I could tell quality because we had jumped enough to know what quality was. So, one of the things that I wanted was a roll-top desk. Because to me, a roll-top desk represented a command center, a place where there was order and control. and where things could get done. The second thing I wanted was Oriental lamps, because I admired their artistry, the patience that they gave to whatever art thing they did, and anything basically Oriental. I wanted a camelback trunk. I wanted that because it represented mysteries to me, treasure, history, and secrets. Like I said, Oriental rug, because it was timeless, as if it was a pathway for everyone, everywhere. I wanted leather furniture, quality leather furniture. The kind you would see in a men's club where you could just sink down in it and stay down in it and feel like you were being held and loved. I wanted books and a built-in bookcase, because to me that was a sign of permanence of knowledge, an accumulation of it, and timelessness. And I wanted a fireplace, because I wanted it to represent warmth, coziness, and reflection. In time, I got everything I wanted, but it wasn't always new. The sofa and the chair, the leather, was new. The Oriental lamps were new. Most of the books, on and off, were new, but the bookcase was built in. The fireplace was there. And I had a sense of security and permanence that only this furniture could give me. Everything else was incidental. Well, after a while, my husband and I began to notice that we were still going back to secondhand shops. And we were still finding things that we admired. And gradually, those things started inching their way into our house. And gradually, we started accumulating so much until we had to let the storage go and start putting stuff in our garage, in our basement, in our attic. And we were selling some of it. We were selling online. But if something just struck us, we didn't even have to know what it was. We'd buy it, oh, God, that looks good. And we'd bring it home, and what is that? I don't know, but it looks good. So, eventually, the overflow became pretty great. But then, after a while, our grandkids came. And they came with their stuff. And as they grew, you know, we had to start shifting things around. So the desk became, that desk that I would sit and admire forever, it got relegated to a corner, and I could admire from over there. And the lamps were out, and I made sure the kids understood, you don't touch those lamps. Those lamps are about 40 years old. And I just love those lamps, so don't touch them. The books, well, they started moving around the house. Wherever I was reading, that's where a book went. And the Oriental rugs that I bought new started giving way to the traffic. We never used the fireplace because I didn't trust the children with an open flame. And a dog chewed up our leather couch, chewed a hole in the seat, chewed a hole in the arm of the chair. So we had to let it go. And I'm saying let go of the furniture, not the dog. And one day I came home and one of the granddaughters was cleaning up the house and she dropped the lamp. And my son came in to tell me the news because I was somewhere else in the house. And he was kind of sorrowful and, you know, like he'd lost a friend or something. I said, well, okay. So I went in there and he was telling me someone dropped the lamp. And so when I went in to see one of the lamps, there was a hole in it this big. And all the pieces were stuck into the lamp. And my granddaughter, who had dropped the lamp, was crying so hard. Her eyes were red, swollen, her face was puffy. And everybody was sitting around staring at me, wondering how I was going to react to it. Because just a month before, I was telling them how old the lamps were, how I'd always wanted them, and you know, how I admired the artistry and all of that. And so when she came to me, she didn't actually came to me. We were walking kind of towards each other. And I put my arms around her and I said, there's nothing in this house that is more valuable to me than you kids. So whatever happened, just happened. Now, believe it or not, I actually got a little angry with the lamp because it made her cry. And it made all of us kind of remorseful that she would cry over that lamp because they were afraid of how I was going to react to it. And what I found out was I didn't care at all about that lamp. I truly did not care. I had worshiped something, and once I'd gotten from it what I needed, the worship was no longer there. I didn't need it. And I began to understand that those things that I thought I cared so much about, I was viewing from the outside in what I needed to be able to see from the inside out. Because I already had all of the qualities that these items reflected. But I didn't know that until things began to happen to them. The chair didn't mean a thing. They just went. They were places to sit. The bookcase didn't mean a thing. It held knowledge and information, but it was just a fixture. The rugs, once the new ones left, we found secondhand rugs that I actually liked better, and we replaced the rugs. So this gets to the idea of thinking that what is valuable actually isn't. And I began to recognize that I needed to get rid of some of this stuff because it was cluttering my thinking. Because I was looking at things instead of essence of the truth about who and what we are. The light isn't on in the furniture, it's there, but it's not the furniture. It's just a symbol of something else. And it's a utilitarian thing. We do need something to sit on, but you can sit on the floor. Now, I feel like having thought this way, starting to come to this phrase, about, well, January the 29th, all four of my grandchildren moved out. They had found a house to rent, and they were sharing the cost of everything that had to go along with that house. And so, and even the youngest one, who wasn't going to pay a dime of rent ever, but he went with them because that became his new home with his brothers and sisters. And people have come to me and said, now what are you going to do? Now that you don't have them, what are you going to do? Well, I do have them. They're about 20 minutes away. But I was thinking about that lady sitting in her empty apartment, almost empty, not really. And I was wondering to myself, when all of this, you know, I think what I want to do is get rid of all of this. I want to sit in a chair and do like that lady and refuse to take extra paper, refuse to take extra stuff to take care of. I want to get up in the morning at 6, which I do anyway, and drink a cup of coffee in the dark and just look at space. I want to look outside at my yard and admire my yard. I don't want to have to clean, polish, do any of those other things that we have to do when we have stuff to take care of. I don't want to even have to think that I might have to worry about the dog chewing on stuff, because he will. So when the kids left, they too, like me, said they were going to have all new stuff. And we offered them our sectional in the basement. Oh no, Grandmama, no. We don't want the television, we don't want everything we were trying to offer them, they would not take. I said, well, good for you, you're going to live a Zen lifestyle, I guess. But before it was over and done with, they found out the cost of a good sectional, a good TV, a good everything else. They came and got the section. They came and got washcloths and towels, you know, and wisdom struck them, and so did a big, not mortgage, but rent. So we've allowed them to take anything they can. We're gradually eliminating stuff, and we're no longer doing flea markets. And I have to be honest, we're still bringing some stuff in. You never know when you need 3 items. I'm trying to get to the place where I'll be comfortable with 5 dresses, 2 pair of shoes, 2 coats, 2 hats, and 1 handbag. And if you see me coming in here in uniform, which is wearing black and white all the time, that's okay. If you see me coming in here with swirling, flowing, elegant clothes, like that lady, that's okay, because that really is the way I like to dress. Kind of the way it really is, so I truly admire that. That was really classy, isn't she?
Yeah. Yes.
So, I'm trying to learn to be a minimalist, and I'm getting there gradually. The reason I wore this dress was because there was so much in my closet that I could not decide what to wear. So I wish I'd worn pants. But I'm looking forward to this experience. This is a new phrase for me. And I think once I've learned it or gotten accustomed to it, I'll have another speech for you. Okay? So I thank you. It's been wonderful.